Superman number 7, written by Dan Jurgens and Keith Giffen, art by Dan Jurgens as well. Finally, on to new writers and artists and such. Maybe I can actually recount this in a reasonable amount of time. So, pretty much ignore everything that we've ever had set up in this entire comic. This issue picks up with some big monster thing parading through Metropolis and fighting Superman, putting some innocents at risk. There's a mother and a kid who Superman is defending, and the kid's like, Ma, we don't gotta worry about nothing. Superman's here. And the mother's like, okay, but maybe we should run from the laser blast, little Timmy. And then Superman's entire internal monologue is just so different from how it has been. He's like wisecracking to himself constantly. He's like, he gets hit by this, it's a big robot lizard looking thing, and he gets hit by the lizard's tail, and he's like, okay, that hurt. And then some guy is like filming it for his Facebook, literally says Facebook, and he's like, hey, Superman, smile for Facebook. And Superman's internal monologue is, you gotta be kidding me. So it's a little bit of a different voice for Superman. Regardless, the fight continues on. He uses his X-ray vision to see what's inside this lizard suit. Turns out it's robotic the whole way through, so he's like, cool, I can kill this thing and not feel bad. So he unloads some massive heat vision and then smacks it into a building and just takes it out. And then as the fight is clearly over, all the citizens come up around him. He's like, all right, everybody, stay away, stay that. But then all of the citizens just ignore him and start talking about their own things. They're like, oh, man, he's so cool. Oh, man, he's causing a lot of property damage. Oh, man, can I get his autograph? You just see 1,000 other conversations. And he's like, guys, please stay away. What? Is no one listening to me? Until finally some cleanup crew from Star Labs shows up and Superman's like, all right, I'm just going to leave. You guys can deal with this. And then he overhears the Star Labs guys being, of course, leaving as soon as we get here. He's like, dude, are you serious? Whatever. So we cut to the Himalayas, where we teased at the end of last issue that Hellspont, the new villain, is. And apparently he's been analyzing this planet, and he sees that Superman is the super strongest guy here. He's also the one who has the lizard robots. Just saying. So he's just sitting there monologuing to himself, saying like, soon even the Kryptonian will serve me. Hellspont. By the way, in reading this, he just sounds like Skeletor in my head. Like, there's no changing that. That's how it is now. So he's like, oh, they're all going to serve me, blah, blah, blah. Go fetch him for me, my minions. So then we cut to the Daily Planet, and Jimmy and Lois are both talking to Clark, who's trying to write up a Superman piece. And because their conversations keep on overlapping, Lois is saying, like, hey, do you have that Superman thing? And Jimmy is saying, hey, I have bed bugs. Can I stay with you? And Clark says yes to Lois, but Jimmy takes it as a yes. And then Perry shows up and says, hey, Clark, do you have that Superman piece? And Lois says, hey, Clark, can you pick up my sister from the train station? And Clark says yes to Perry. So Lois is like, thanks, buddy. It's just a little humorous bit, but it's so weird coming from this book, which has not had that in 6 issues. So then we get to Star Labs, the thing that they picked up. They're analyzing it. They're like, okay, we have no idea where the energy source for this thing is, and genuinely we have no idea how to even open it. So let's do a submolecular view, whatever. And then a big flash of light, and it just disappears. And one of the guys is like, oh my God, the boss is going to kill us. And he's like, well, what if we just say it's self-destructed? Are you kidding me, Joe? That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. It's weird to have humor. That's all I'm trying to get across here. Is it's very strange. So Clark's still writing his story when all of a sudden he hears screaming down the hall, and wouldn't you know it, it's another one of those monster lizard things. And he's like, oh, shucks, that thing must have tagged me. Got to keep an eye out for that now. And then he runs into a back room and opens up his shirt to reveal the Superman costume, which I don't have a problem with. But then the suit, like, expands, like it's biomolecular tech. They say it's Kryptonian biotech, which in the Action Comics series, it definitely was just a shirt that changed colors, but regardless, it's now apparently nanobots, so whatever. So he flies out, swoops back in, takes the monster, and just goes right through. And he's like, all right, I'm keeping this away from civilians this time, because screw the civilians. And as he's fighting this thing in the sky, it teleports back to the Himalayas, and immediately it starts to, like, disintegrate, and it reveals that it teleported him right into Hellspawn's lair. And he's like, all right, well, guess I got to go in here to find out what's going on. So he goes inside, and there's literally just 4 pages of Hellspawn being like, you know, Earth seems very important. To me, Hellespont, leader and emperor of the Daemonites' army. Read any Wildstorm book to find out what that is. Superman, you will serve me and all my people. And Superman's like, no. And he's like, fool, how dare you fight against me, Hellespont? I must kill you now. And so he attacks him and knocks Superman down. And he's like, you and I are brothers from different worlds now, Superman, and you will see that in time. And then Superman makes the relation in his head between like siblings, and then it just shows one panel of Lois's sister standing at the train station. And then we end. And I just, okay, sure. Yeah, that's how we should end this comic. So it basically just seems to me like this issue is Superman's just like, nobody gets him. And everyone's just like, yeah, you do your thing and we're just going to do our thing. But like, deal with it. Like, nobody's bending over to help anybody else here. I don't know. It's a weird intro to a new writer just because it does nothing to bridge the gap. Absolutely nothing. If you read issues 1 through 6 and then you picked this up, you may as well have just picked up an entirely different book. Not that that's inherently a bad thing, but it's just such a culture shock. So it's fine. It's a decent enough, well-written book. I'm not sure how I like snarky Superman. Like, the entire time Hellespont is talking, what does he keep saying? He walks in and Hellespont introduces himself, and basically he's like, join me. And Superman's like, that's not going to happen. Now tell me why I'm here. And Hellespont keeps going on in his monologue, and he's like, I'm still waiting for you to tell me why I'm here. Tick-tock, buddy. I'm not even kidding. That's like pretty much exactly what he does. So, I don't know. It's interesting. It's a new direction. I think Hellespont is way too try-hard of a villain, and I gotta say, with reading the whole line, I'm really kind of sick of Daemonites, but regardless, they're everywhere, so I'm just gonna deal. It's a 6. Art is fine. I can't say I really like the design of Hellespont, and nothing else really stood out to me, so it's just okay the whole way through. Writing, at least I understand like the basics of it, and I'm able to finish a page in under 20 minutes, so that's the change. But it's still just, it's not doing anything great. It's not doing anything super.